India has slammed the brakes on sugar exports, and the timing again is significant. The government has now banned exports of raw, white and refined sugar with immediate effect until September 30th of this year. Now, the move comes amid fears that domestic sugar production may fall short of consumption for the second straight year. Here's what's really happening and why this matters to your wallet, inflation and India's global trade position. Now, India is the world's second largest sugar producer and among the biggest exporters globally after Brazil. Now, earlier this year, New Delhi had actually allowed mills to export about 1.6 million metric tons of sugar, expecting a surplus crop. But the outlook has changed dramatically. Cane yields have weakened in key producing states like Maharashtra and Karnataka. Trade estimates now suggest production could fall below earlier projections while domestic demand remains strong. Now, there's another worry too, and that happens to be weather. Officials and traders are increasingly nervous about El Niño conditions disrupting the monsoon, which could hit the next sugarcane crop as well. So the government's calculation is simple: keep more sugar inside India to prevent a spike in local prices. For domestic consumers, this is essentially an anti-inflation move by the government. Sugar is also a politically sensitive commodity in India because it directly affects household budgets, sweets, packaged foods, beverages and festival consumption. By stopping exports, the government hopes to ensure enough supply in the domestic market and avoid a sharp rise in retail prices in coming months. This also fits into a broader inflation control strategy. Remember, India is already dealing with volatility in fuel prices and imported commodities amid geopolitical tensions in West Asia. Now, this also includes fertilizers. Food inflation remains one of the biggest concerns for India's central bank, the Reserve Bank of India as well. In fact, the RBI governor warned just hours earlier that authorities may need to act if inflationary pressures deepen further. So, sugar has now become another pressure point, but there is a trade-off. Now, for India's sugar mills and exporters, the ban is a major setback. Traders had already signed export contracts for roughly 800,000 tons and more than 600,000 tons had already been shipped. The government has allowed limited exemptions for consignments already in the export pipeline and for quota-based shipments to the US and the European Union. Still, exporters now face uncertainty, especially after the government had earlier expanded export quotas in February. Now, Reuters quoted trade dealers saying mills and traders may now struggle to honor overseas commitments. Globally, the impact was almost immediate. Sugar prices jumped after India's announcement. New York raw sugar futures rose over 2%, while London white sugar futures climbed about 3%. And this creates an opening for rivals like Brazil and Thailand, which are expected to capture a larger share of Asian and African export markets, while India steps back temporarily. So in summary, India's sugar export ban is really about protecting domestic supply, containing food inflation and preventing politically sensitive price spikes at home. But it also signals something bigger. The government is becoming increasingly cautious about exporting key food commodities at a time of uncertain weather, volatile global markets and inflation risks.